Greetings one and all, this is your course manager, Eric, coming at you today to talk a little bit about how we might map the change of something over time. Since we have lots of different fields, there's lots of different options here. We can map out power change over time, defense change, number of different types of Pokemon over time. Let's take a look. First, we're going to go to the chart submenu and we're going to select a smoothed time series chart. I can click up here, or remember I can go to the add a chart and select it there. With this specific Pokemon data, I'm going to get an error. And the reason why is because with Google Data Studio, one of our fields needs to be some type of a date in order to make a change over time possible. Unfortunately for us, all of our data is either a dimension or a number. The closest thing that we have to an actual date within our data set is this particular dimension called generation. So this is when the cards came out. We can use generation to map change over time. If you remember from the first video, we had to come in and edit the data source, and we did that by clicking this little pen icon next to it. Once I'm in here, I can scroll down to generation, and here it is being considered a number, so we'll need to change that. When we mouse over this date and time, you'll notice that there's many options here. Of course, Pokemon generation is not one of them. However, we can scroll down and we could get day of the month. That's close. We could pretend as though the generations were days of months. We could put hour in there. That could work as well. I'm just going to choose one of these two. It really doesn't matter. And it's going to give me a prompt to say, are you sure you want to make this change? I say yes, and we click done. Now I'm going to grab this generation dimension. I'm going to drag it over into the dimension category. And now you will see that it is counting, as of right now, the total amount of Pokemon in that generation over time. Because we set it to be day of the month, you'll notice here that it is in fact stretching out over the whole course of the month. We can edit that later in the style tab over here. In order to make this data more interesting, let's also subcategorize it by the type of Pokemon. I'm going to minimize my chart options here, and then I'm going to come down to breakdown dimension. And here I'm going to drag in type. So here now we can see a breakdown by type. If I want to be able to focus in on more specific Pokemon, I can grab that type and I can put it up here into the filter category. And then when I click on it, I can unclick off type, which will uncheck all these boxes. Then I can check the boxes that I actually want to take a look at. So if I just want to focus on water Pokemon, I can apply that. And we can see that the amount of Pokemon that are classified as water Pokemon has been steadily decreasing over time. So if I wanted to show the change over time of several of the big types of Pokemon, I could come in here and I could make several different graphs based on that. Here's grass, for instance. You can see that has some dips and some spikes, but it seems to hold fairly consistent. I'm going to pop into the Style tab over here and just change the axis. You can see that I can set the range that I want it to show. If I select range by data, that will shorten this to be the 7 generations that I chose. This makes the graph much nicer to look at visually. As with before, I can come in here and change the font, the fill, just about anything. So go ahead and take a look at that. One other thing to note is in here, I can also change my series, in this case, the grass. I can change this from a line to a bar graph if I want to visualize it in that manner. If I want to count up the total number of grass Pokemon over time, I would click this cumulative tab. And if I want to label the data and give the actual number for that, I can click this and it will show the precise amount of that Pokemon over time. So let me pop back out and apply that filter to every Pokemon once again. And when I do that, you'll notice that my water Pokemon, which was the first in the series, stayed as bars, but everything else converted to a line. I'll have to come in here manually and select bars for each of these. There we go. Through the magic of time-lapse photography, we have now converted everything to a bar graph over time rather than a line graph. So there we have it. Couple different ways of showing change over time using this particular data set. Give it a try with yours. See what you can come up with. As always, this is Eric, your course manager, signing out until next time.